everyone. We would like to welcome you to our Memorial Day Remembrance Ceremony. Before we start today, we do have a few housekeeping items, so I just want to go over that before the ceremony starts. First, I'd like to just draw your attention to the program. Traditionally, we would lower the flag prior to the reading of the names and then raise the flag afterwards. Unfortunately, with this beautiful, beautiful weather we're having today, we're not going to be able to do that today, so we just wanted to draw your attention to that. The bathroom facilities are located to your right in the lobby. The doors are open, so feel free to use those at any point. Following our ceremony, we also just invite you to stay and enjoy some lunch with us. We understand if you aren't able to stay, and that's perfectly okay. However, we still invite you to grab a bag lunch to take with you. Masks are welcome at the ceremony, but they're not required as we're all outside this morning. And also, if you're just interested in learning more about the different ways that you can honor your loved ones, we invite you to head back to the end of the tent, and we have a table that can give you more information about our memorial bears and our memorial bricks. And just finally, we want to acknowledge it's been a couple years since we've been able to gather today, and we understand that we are all on this roller coaster of grief together. So we really just encourage you to be kind and compassionate with yourself during the ceremony today. It's okay to cry. It's okay to step out and take a break if you need to. Honoring and respecting your boundaries is really healthy and important for the grief journey. So we just want you to know that we encourage you to take care of yourself in whatever way that looks like for you, okay? So now I'd like to invite our CEO, Mary Kay, to the podium to further welcome you all here this morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me? I have a much bigger mouth than she does. So welcome. On behalf of everyone here at Lightways Hospice and Serious Illness Care, I welcome you to this special Memorial Day event. You honor us with your presence here. Thank you, too, for allowing us to take care of your loved one. Caring for our veterans is something here at Lightways we take very seriously. As a We Honor Veteran Level 4 organization, we understand that servicemen and women and their families are part of a unique culture. Our veterans come to us from all walks of life, and we strive to meet them and their families wherever they are in their journey. In today's ceremony, we will be honoring 684 veterans. Yeah, it's 3 years worth. Each has his or her own story. Each family has his or her own story. For example, I want to share one story with you. Anatol Wacholski was born in Poland in 1926, and as a youth, he endured much trauma in the Soviet Russia and Nazi Germany. During World War II, he enlisted and served both the British and Polish military forces. In 1949, he came to the United States and soon thereafter enlisted in the U.S. Army. He served 2 years during the Korean War, attaining the rank of Sergeant First Class. Thanks to the GI Bill, Anatol earned a degree in civil and structural engineering, and in 1955 joined U.S. Steel. He retired in 1990 as a general manager of design. What a story. One of his favorite pictures of himself and his wife was from the 2021 Shorewood Memorial Day celebration, where he was an honored guest, having served 3 nations in 2 different wars. Anatol died at Lightways on March 29th here in our unit. It was an honor to care for him and his wife, Janine, who's here. They were married nearly 63 years today. Not today, I'm sorry. I apologize. I know your anniversary isn't today. There are many stories like Anatol's, and each one is special. And we remember our veterans. As we remember our veterans, let us share their stories. This is why we do what we do, to give our patients the opportunity to die with dignity and respect and comfort, and give their families a positive experience in the face of their most tragic time. Participating in today's program are members of our staff. You might recognize your nurse, social worker, chaplain, or CNA, music therapist, I always forget a team member, and bereavement, grief. They are also here because they have a loved one who served or is currently serving in the military themselves. And finally, we could not do this program without our veteran volunteers. They helped organize the event and provided their expertise to the planning team. Thank you all, and please enjoy today's ceremony.
Thank you so much, Mary Kay. We now would like to invite the American Legion Post 1080 to the front for the posting of the colors. Our national anthem represents our traditions, our history. It unites us all as one. We are honored to now invite Linda Serpent up to sing the national anthem.
Please face the flag and join me. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous heart o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Linda. As Americans, we acknowledge and respect the multitude of sacrifices our veterans have made to preserve our rights. Their courage gives us the freedom to recite our Pledge of Allegiance with pride and dignity for the Constitution of the United States. We now invite Tom Morrow, one of our Lightways veteran volunteers, to the podium to lead our Pledge of Allegiance.
Good morning, all. If you're a veteran, when I do this ceremony, and you've served, you may salute. Hand on chest. If you must sit down, it's understandable. Follow me now. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Tom. As we look at our United States of America flag, we are able to feel the purity, vigilance, perseverance, and unity. To further explore gratitude for those who have served our country, we now invite Tara Van to the podium.
Good morning. Blessed are you. Oh, you can have a seat. Thank you. Blessed are you who pledge allegiance to the flag, for you remind us to honor our country. Blessed are you who listen to the call of your heart to serve, for your choice has enduring impact. Blessed are you who persevered through training and discipline, for your hard work shaped the mission. Blessed are you who endured goodbyes in the loneliness of separation, so we can live in serenity with our loved ones. Serenity with our loved ones. Blessed are you who labored for the greater good, for your sacrifice is a lesson in service. Blessed are you who stood in the face of danger and fear, so we may rest in security and peace. Blessed are you who considered your fellow servicemen and women above yourself, for we see an idol in true love. Blessed are you who must stand in the wake of injuries, traumatic memories, and grief, for your daily courage is a badge of honor. Blessed are you who selfishly served our country, for it allows each citizen the opportunity afforded under our Constitution. And blessed are you who surrendered all. You are our heroes.
Thank you so much. As I stated earlier, this pandemic has cost Americans in so many ways, and we would like to honor those who have died in the previous years when we were unable to meet. We now would like to begin by inviting Lightways veteran volunteers Tom Mara and Bob Smith, as well as Barb Jones, Jennifer Shue, and Sylvia Valdez to read the names of our veterans who have died on Lightways services in 2020. Following the reading of names, a bell will be rung in their honor.
Helen Anderson, Irvin Aronowski, George Athanasou, August Badali, Michael Bailey, Elsie Baldwin, Vernell Bannister, Ernest Bancroft, Jesse B. Sierra, Charles Benedict, Henry Bettenhausen, Robert Bolin, Walter Bradley, Gerald Brazil, Herman Bringle, Robert Bro, Edwin Buckman, Cleveland Burks, James Burkhart, Mark Burns, James Busby, Joseph Caballero, Manuel Campus, Michael Carey, and Carl Seal.
Harvey Chipolonis, William Cherney, Daniel Chiramonte, Thomas Clark, David Clemens, Anthony Colonnese, Michael Conroy, William Cook, James Corkery, Michael Costian, Patrick Craig, James Creed, Charles Crocker, Timothy Crowley, Nicholas Curio, James Daly, Donald Davis, Robert Dimmick, James Pasquet, Kenneth Devershire, Frank DeVito, William Deeding, Francis Dillman, John DeVecchio, friend of mine, Timothy Dixon,
William Downing, William Downs, Tom Dublin, Rex Easton, Lou Eichelkraut, John Ennis, John Enright, James Finello, Owen Ferguson, Donald Fletcher, Dominic Federo, John Folta, Anthony Frabata, Russell Frame, Russell Frangella, Raymond Fulham, Norbert Garska, Oscar Garza, Ronald Geyer, Bernard Girl, Ivan Girick, David Gomez, Jack Goodman, Arthur Goschalk, Richard Grosser.
Donald Green, Joseph Geiger, Edwin Goller, Rodney Henson, Donald Harsberger, Douglas Hefford, Robert Harrington, Ronald Hatton, Donald Hatz, Richard Helps, Keith Hellriger, Gary Helton, John Hibbler, William Hicks, William Olstom, Walter Holman, Jerry Homelek, Cecil Horvath, Donald Horn Jr., James Hera, Thomas Hodeck, George Holland, Oneida Hudson, Robert Huchek, Abraham Isaac.
Carl Jager, Francis Jemsowski, Don Jeffers, Bernard Jensnick, Jerome Jenkins, Jerry Johnson, Richard Johnson, Larry Jones, Tommy Jones, Kenneth Jones, Raymond Capinas, Ethanish Cabnis Melis, John Kessiger, Arthur Kessler, Richard Ketman, Dennis Kirkelis, Lawrence Novelock, Vernon Kopke, Norman Kovitz, Ronald Kramerick, Clarence Krause, Charles Krisick, George Christoselis, Dever Kruger, John Cupers.
Kashmir Kluka, Daniel Kerber, Thaddeus Cush, William LaRue Jr., Robert LaRuck, Richard Lietto, William Leon, Wilbur Lewis, William Lindman, Richard Lindgren, Michael Long, Alan Lunsford, Edward Lynch, Patrick Lynch, John Magarack, Bernard Mahalik, John Madecki, James Malone, William Malone, Raymond Yetta, Lawrence Markanowski, Thomas Massey, Stanley Masta, and Robert Madison.
John Matson, Gordon McCluskey, Robert McConnell, friend of mine, Thomas McGowan, Paul McIntosh, George McCain, Joseph McNamara, Michael Merritt, Arthur Meskey, James Middlecamp, Richard Miller, Victor Miller, William Miller, Charles Mills, Robert Mitchell, Richard Malowski, Gerald Montgomery, Gerald Moore, Francis Mulvihill, John Murray, Wataska Heel, Lawrence Newman, Lawrence Nooney, Alex Nunn III, Ken Nurchek.
Frank O'Brien, John Osnoy, Robert O'Malley, Kevin Orr, Leroy Pace, Thomas Pankey, John Papp, Arthur Parat, Art Patarazzi, George Pavlik, Bernard Perryman Jr., Herbert Peterson, Robert Phillips, Edward Pyert, Joseph Plank, Peter Pullman, Waldo Poole, Bernard Porter, Richard Polis, Bernard Pruitt, Ronald Rock, Chester Radiff, Donald Randich, Charles Russell, George Reed.
Forrest Reeder, William Riley, Morris Winke, James Restantonio, Raymond Raisback, Gordon Richard, Bernard Riff, Virginia Rich, Charles Robinson, Lewis, Rodwad, William Rodadick, Edward Rogers, William Rohaller, James Roth, Anthony Ruiz Jr., John Russler, Joseph Centennial, Paul Scaletti, Donald Sarkit, Raymond Shelder, Diane Shield, John Schneider, Glenn Schultz, thank you, Schulte, Joseph Schultz, Ronald Schultz.
Robert Schultz, Dennis Weidler, Anthony Squito, Johnny Seals, Daniel Selichek, Robert Seary, Seal Severance, James Shaw, Kenneth Sherman, James Shoemake Jr., Joe Sylvie, Ronald Simon, Paul Sim Jr., Ralph Sayek, Richard Sliva, Raymond Smits, Demetrius Smith, Robert Smith, Lloyd Smith Jr., Rudolph Smolik, Edward Sobek, Edgar Solomon, John Stemborski, Robert Stanglin, Richard Starman.
Maurice Stevens, Emery Subar Jr., Lawrence Suckley, Jan Schur, John Terhar, Gordon Tufel, Robert Thatcher, William Thompson, John Thorson, Donald Tomich, Ronald Tondini, Stanley Turk, Howard Turner, Edward Urban Sr., Jose Valencia, Richard Van Dyke, George Van Dam, Robert Van Hogarden, Everett Van Kuken, Robert Vasco, Roger Vickers, Ralph Viteretti, Charles Vito, Edward Vidius, Robert Vladica.
Carl Walker, William Ward, Donald Ward's Dorfer. Lawrence Weaver, friend of mine. Kenneth Webb, Richard Weiss, Merle Wheeler Jr., Gerald White, Charles White Jr., Lyle Wiggins, Daniel Wilbur, Herbert Wilcox, Robert Wilkinson, Frank Willis, Robert Willoughby, John Wilson, Avery Wilson, Edward Woljanowski, Robert Zobel.
In 1893, the professor and poet Catherine Lee Bates was so inspired by the wonder of our country, she wrote a poem to acknowledge the beauty and grace our country holds. Years later, Samuel A. Ward composed music alongside this poem. To present this song of beauty and wonder, we now introduce our music therapist, Allison Gunning.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of rain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for pilgrim feet who stirred in passion stress, a thoroughfare for freedom beat across the wilderness. America, America, God mend thine every flaw, confirm thy soul in self-control, thy liberty in law.
Thank you so much, Allison. We now would like to invite again our Lightways veteran volunteers, Tom Mara and Bob Smith, as well as Barb Jones, Jennifer Shue, and Sylvia Valdez, to read the names of our veterans who died on Lightways services in 2021. Following the reading of names, a bell will be rung in their honor.
Ronald Adams, Robert Allen, James Anderson, William Andrews, Robert Ambrashish, Raymond Basica, George Bailey Jr., Ronald Bales, Robert Baranski, James Barkis, Frederick Barker, James Berry, Lawrence Berry, Edward Battis, Robert Baddick, Ronald Bender, Daryl Benson, George Benzing, Joseph Byack Jr., William Blackburn, Wayne Blankenship Sr., William Blum, Emil Bach, Raymond Bolden, and Barbara Bolster.
Warren Bourmet, George Boyle, neighbor and friend, Thomas Boyne, Robert Bradich, Kevin Bradley, Louis Brick, Corwin Bruner, James Bryan, Donald Budney, Louis Buick, Robert Byrne, Robert Cagwin, Vera Carrico, William Carragati, Jack Chafin, Byron Chrisman, John Chalaji, Meade Clark, Kevin Coleman, Matthew Connor, Roy Contreras, James Creek, Donald Crenshaw, Harriet Chrisman, Ronald Cummings.
James Cummins, George Curry, Roland Dane, John Darby, Mike Davis, Aldo DeSander, Efren Delsario, Raymond Derzinski Jr., Norman Damaris, Arthur DeVisma, Robert Deal, Ray Dilday, Ronald DiSabato, Terry Donahue, Richard Donnelly, Stephen Drazinski, William Dugan, Robert Dulick, James Durkin, George Duvall, James Dwyer, Donald Edmondson, Robert Engstrom Sr., William Inns, Thomas Eubank.
David Evans, Robert Filio Jr., Forrest Farley, John Fabio, Sylvester Peretti, Gerald Byrick, Larry Fisher, Edward Flanagan, Stanley Fisham, Lawrence Floyd, Franklin Forsythe, Julius Fortin, Donald Fox, Edward Frischlinger, Robert Fuchuk, Wayne Gallinger, Paul Gambala, Robert Garcia, Robert Giannato, thank you, Michael Glockler, Raymond Gordon, Duncan Gray III, Samuel Green, John Grinnell, Enzo Gorsi. Thank you.
Daniel Gunn, Stephen Hammond, William Henley, William Hevley, James Howard, Melvin Hidden, Roger Henderson, Eugene Herman, Catherine Hernandez, Richard Herndon, Richard Hedinger, Daniel Hicks, Clarence Ladvika, John Hoffman III, Thomas Hogan, Robert Holtrup, Walter Hooks III, Jerome Ignowski, Anthony Salato, Ronald Jacob Gard, James Jansen, James Jeans, Kenneth Jenkins, James Jessernick, and Herbert Jewell.
Charles Gindra, Howard Johnson, James Johnston, Lynn Jones, Alvin Jones, Lowell Jurgens, Philip Kaminsky, Frank Kaminsky, Benedict Canta, Robert Katuzny, Richard Kaveni, Dan Kazanowski, Lawrence Keeley, John Kennedy, Roy Kiefer, Leonard Klee, Philip Klein, Harold Claude, Robert Kosh, Dennis Kowalczyk, Kenneth Cole, Joseph Krubeck, Frank Kirschner, Leonard Clucky, and Valentine Cruzy.
John Kurek, first, last. John Lausch, Bernard Laveau, Lawrence Lazanek, Jerry Leonard, Ray Lindley, Chester Liska, James Lavonico, Donald Long, Warren Lonzo, John Lukanzik, Richard Meyer, Raymond Mayo, Richard Malik, Roger Melmauser, Scott Marquardt, Joseph Marzano, Glenn Masick, Charles Massaro, Gerald Massey, Melvin Masters, Philip Moore, Mao, Ronaldo Morizzi, Eugene May, Brendan
Ralph McDonald, Earl McGarry Jr., John McGowan, Robert McCanna, Lawrence McLean, Robert Meisner, Richard Michelle, Alexander Miklas, James Milton, Raymond Mata, Richard Mulligan, Elvin Nelson, Robert Nelson, Peter Nichols, Samuel Nakatra, Stanley Neek, Richard Norris, Edward Ola, William Pecas, Peter Papish, Everett Patmore, Edward Pavlich, Charles Pennick Jr., John Phelan, Edgar Phillips.
Laddie Phillips, James Pomeroy, Gordon Pop, Stanley Porch, Mark Porto, Donald Patali, Robert Priest, Carl Persaski, Shona Ridden, sorry about that, Leonard Ramsky, Curtis Rasmussen, Bernadette Reeder, Louis Ripley, Fred Wagona, Michael Ross, James Rudolph, James Russell, Daniel Lucio, Robert Sabatchitz, Richard Sako, Fred Schabs, Charles Scheit, Edwin Smith, Theodore Slocum, David Shorby.
Richard Scott, Eugene Scott, Wayne Sebrum, Ralph Seidel, Anton Semro, Charles Serial, Wallace Shukus, Raymond Seiben, Robert Sistek, Patrick Sledge, Paul Smith, Bruce Smith, Leon Smith Jr., Richard Sutherland, Alan Summers, John Spampanato, John Sparks, James Stack, Eldon Stanley, Douglas Steen,
Robert Stevens, Merle Stone Jr., Joseph Stuckel, William Sullivan, Richard Cisnera.
Ronald Tater, Herbert Tatro, Don Techman, Alan Themmer, Donald Torrance, George Toussaint, Michael Trudell Sr., Eugene Tucker, Luis Valdez, Leroy Venani, William Vavoda, Bill Waldrop, William Ward, James Ware, Lucius Washington, Robert Weber, Richard Widener, William Welsh, Ronald Wick, Albert Wiley, Leo Wolfson, Fred Rona, Daniel Yates, Roger Younghusband, James Zahara, Eugene Steele, James Zampete, Robert Zander, Nick Zagrassi, Leroy Zimmerman.
As we carry on in our journey through grief, we constantly search for ways to hold on to them in our hearts and lives. We now invite Desiree Puzio to the podium to read a poem describing how we carry them with us forever.
The poem is called We Remember Them. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember them. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. In the opening of buds and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. In the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them. For as long as we live, they too shall live, for they are now a part of us, and we remember them.
Thank you so much, Desiree. Finally, once more, we invite Tom Mara, Bob Smith, Barb Jones, Jennifer Shue, and Sylvia Valdez to read the names and honor our veteran patients who have died on Lightways services in 2022. And again, following the reading of the names, a bell will be read in their honor, rung in their honor, excuse me.
Michael Ambrose, Alan Arp, Walter Brand, Richard Bedner, John Beer, Ernie Bish, Earl Bishop, Jerome Blickham, Ronald Borkowski, Don Bosson, Michael Briney, Owen Buenti, Thomas Busey, George Campbell, Richard Carey, Gerald Carino, Joseph Carnegie, Francisco Cavazos, Gordon Clark, Ronald Clark, Bob Collins, Thomas Kinane, James Kinane, Louis Danko, Ronald Davis.
Sheldon Davis, Robert Duchek, Robert English, Donald Farmer, Alfonso Farrell, Frederick Farrell, Joseph Fide, Ronald Fries, John Fernanik, Robert Getz, Jose Gonzalez, Thomas Gooch, Albert Goudet, Walter Hartle, Edwin Hendry, Kenneth Hoffman, Louis Jandura, Larry Johnson, Leonard Kierman, Raymond Kepke, David Kolazinski, Donald Komnick, Stephen Kopek, Jerry Kosovic, Russell Kudman.
Donald Lausch, James Lacey, Roger Lance, Arturo Lara, Richard LaRose, Michael Lash, Tommy Laster, Wilford Ladoc, Fred Lundgren, Ronald McKay, John Majeski, Edward Matasevic, James Matuel, Ernest Mabach, Elizabeth McCarran, Robert McCormick, Peter McKenna, Lynn McKenzie, Ronald Miglerini, James Mooningham, Pedro Morales, Raymond Morin, Frank Muller, Walter Natashuk, Larry Neal.
Siegfried Nelson, Joseph Nolan, James Patagoski, Richard Parker, John Prisson, Herman Prescott, James Price, Val Rand, Robert Reddington, Donald Regal, George Robinson, Ned Rocks, Antonio Lysinski, George Ryder, Joseph Salatano, Herbert Shire, Ronald Scott, John Sheridan, Raymond Sinkek, Konstantin Stankus, John Stokolowski, Ernest Stover, Robert Samansky, Larry Thornton, John Tinner.
Arthur Turner, Anton Tycholas Jr., Charles Vince, Richard Vineyard, Gerald Wetzel, Terry Williams, Ova Winban, and Edward Wittelis.
Music can evoke memories and emotions with a single note. Even more so, 24 notes give us the opportunity to commemorate the memory of the members of the branches of the armed forces. We now welcome Ed Croby, a Marine veteran, for the sounding of taps. Please stand if you're able. Thank you, Ed. You may be seated. And now we invite our chaplain, Donald Barrett, to the podium to offer a prayer for our loved ones.
Let us pray. All-powerful God, we honor today those men and women, our sons and daughters, husbands and wives, fathers and brothers, sisters and mothers, who have laid down their life for their country, whether weary or emboldened, quiet or defiant, vulnerable or ready when you call them home. Their sacrifice is too humbling for words, except these uttered in prayer. Loving Lord, bless them forever in your eternal peace. Cherish their spirit, honor their commitment. Send them our love, and we'll never forget their service they gave. Eternal God, we also pause and reflect in prayer for those sons and daughters who gave so much in service and left parts of themselves on the battlefields of the world. We pay homage and give respect to them and ask you to provide comfort and peace, not only to them, but to their families. We are grateful for their unselfish service and pray that your eternal grace will remain with them both now and forever. Amen.
Thank you so much for gathering today to remember, love, and honor our veterans. Grief is the price we pay for love, a debt we do not want to carry, but do so with grace and the utmost respect. Please know you are not alone in your journey of grief. And if anyone would like additional support through their grief journey, please know we have grief counselors available to walk alongside you through the path. So again, thank you so much, and I now invite Mary Kay back to the podium for final closing remarks.
How's everybody doing? Okay, I don't know if I am, but okay. Thank you again for joining us today. I believe that having these kinds of ceremonies can provide closure for many of us. It's a beautiful ritual to honor and remember our loved ones. I hope you felt the deep gratitude expressed here for your sacrifice, your loved one's sacrifice that you all made for our country. And thank you to you, their families. We know that this is a collective effort when someone enters the armed forces. I'd like to invite everyone to the tent to have lunch together and share your stories. It's been a couple of long years since we've been able to enjoy a meal together, and it feels great to be able to gather here today. On your way out, I'm sorry that we're inside, but stop by our beautiful Veterans Memorial Garden. We have a beautiful tribute to each branch of the armed forces. Please stay and eat with us. If you can't stay, please take a lunch and bring it home with you. I'd like to thank Nicolette Vasquez for doing a beautiful job today. And Maria Rubio Moore, who planned today. Thank you, Maria. Of course, she wasn't alone. She had a whole team behind her. So I'm not going to name them all, but thank you all. All right. We now invite the American Legion Post 1080 to retrieve the colors. Thank you all.
On left.
Halt. Right face. Hand salute. 2. Retrieve colors. Right face. Column right.